Omnichannel marketing seems to be the talk of the town.
What's changing in marketing? Why is this becoming important? Your revenue would go up by 2x if you just do very simple three things. Vanity matrices do not really matter.
Retail is not a new phenomena.
The difficulty is how to.
One of the common misconceptions when I talk to brand owners is this. Online ads are for online conversions, and offline ads on TV, newspaper, and print are for offline conversions. The very same brand owners also tell me this. Now, hear this out. They tell me that they have customers walking into their stores with screenshots of products which they have seen on Instagram and Facebook and asking the sales guy, "Can I have this product, please?" Now, clearly, online ads are actually driving offline sales. So, where is the dichotomy now? To unlock this, I have leaders from Meta and some of the fastest growing omnichannel brands in India. Welcome to the AdYogi Meta podcast series. Joining me is Gaurav Jeet Singh, Director VC Partnerships and Agencies at Meta. Gaurav has been working very closely with Meta and AdYogi on helping us build the partnership further. I've had the fortune to interact with him, and I've always found his inputs very, very valuable, and they give me a host of ideas every time when I talk to him. Gaurav, welcome to the OmniTalks with AdYogi.
Thank you, Anshuk. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. One question which comes to my mind always, Gaurav. Retail is not a new phenomena. Retail has been around for 100 plus years. Meta has been around for multiple decades. Then why is it that today we have started talking about omnichannel marketing? What has changed in the last, I would say, couple of years that omnichannel marketing seems to be the talk of the town? And of course, we are having this podcast today on Omni. So can you tell us what has changed?
I think, actually, everything is changed and nothing is changed. It depends on how the perspective is. For a long time, a lot of retailers would have had this dream of putting together ability to know who came to their store, who came in and bought, and what is the lifetime value of that consumer. And technologically, it was always very difficult to do this at scale. Interestingly, what's happened over the last few years is that technology has to a great extent caught up.
Yes.
Now, especially with signals that get generated by consumers at a store, with the CRMs getting integrated back to a platform like Meta, it allows a store owner or a store or retail business to get to know who the consumer is. And suddenly you have an integrated view of that consumer that you never had in the past. Now that technology is here, you already mentioned the consumers always wanted themselves to be recognized, understood at a store. Now technology allows it for it to happen. So essentially, the only person who needs to catch up with this whole piece is actually the marketer. And hence it becomes a very important conversation to be had with marketers because we are literally living in the future now.
So Gaurav, you spoke about signals as very important when running Omni. We've been working with many brands in getting their Omni journey right. We understand that Omni requires multiple things, signals, sending the right signals to Meta. We also know that many of the brands need to set up the hyperlocal campaigns. We've also seen that getting your creative is right is important. What has been your learnings of working with Omni brands? What are those one or two things you have seen working for the brands which have done Omni right?
No, so Anshuk, we work with good about almost 100 odd agencies, 8,500 odd brands, and a lot of them out of retail and especially Omni. And within that, what we found is 2-3 things. Number one piece is a brand fully acknowledging that there's need to integrate this whole thinking,
Yes.
Both online to offline and how those two things integrate with each other. That's a very important recognition that the whole philosophy of click to brick has come alive in what we see.
Yes.
It's very important that a marketer acknowledges it, because rest of it is then tactics of how do you really get it right. The first piece, like you said, the brands that get this right is that they get the signals right, which is that they ensure that there's conversions API, especially offline conversions API, integrated fully and active. The second piece is that they have a whole construct which factors in a more holistic and integrated assessment of outcomes. So integrated ROAS rather than a ROAS for offline and ROAS for for online. And that's very important because that allows you to really get the fullness of whatever your marketing activity was, and attribute the right outcomes for it. And the third piece is to make sure that they have creatives that work for the platform. It is not important anymore for a brand typology to be a digital first brand getting creators right, whereas a old legacy brand not getting it right, because the playing field is pretty leveled out. And for newer brands, it's as much an opportunity as it's for legacy brands. So what we've seen work is brands that get these three things right: creative, signals, and measurement protocols that make sure that they're measuring click to brick really well.
I'm glad that you spoke about integrated ROS, Gaurav. Yeah. 1 year ago, I wouldn't have really understood that term, but now I know more and more brands are talking about online plus offline ROS as the right way to measure. In fact, for one of our brands, we actually saw this insight that when they run campaigns in their store cities, because they have stores in those cities, they have an 4x, let's say, online ROS, but they have an incremental 2x ROS coming from the offline. So overall ROS then becomes a 4x plus 2x. So they're actually taking media mix decisions based on the integrated ROS.
Absolutely.
It also sort of delves into my next question, Gaurav. We are in the performance marketing space, and in India, it's also a very ROS-centric market. So when I walk down the aisles of AdYogi, I hear ROS almost like 100 times in a day. And I know when I talk to brands in the Omni space as well, they also expect matrices to be tracked. In fact, many of the brands do expect ROS to be tracked as well. They're not very happy with just the clicks or just likes and shares, if I may say so. What are some of the matrices you are seeing when you work with Omni brands, which they actually track when running their Omni strategy on Meta?
Now, first of all, any brand today that's active on Meta, and we work with quite a few thousands of them, brands that do well, first of all, understand that any of those vanity matrices do not really matter. So it gets me very worried when somebody is trying to measure views, trying to measure likes and the like. What is really important is to be clear on the business objective. In this case, the business objective is very clear, especially when you're looking at online and offline conversions, is to really look at ability to measure it fully as integrated ROAS that we spoke about earlier.
Yes.
But more critically, going in, setting up a campaign, and it's a very easy thing to do through Ads Manager today, where you're looking to get website and in-store conversions as objective, which is an easy click-through today, and plan a campaign accordingly. So first thing to get right is to set up a campaign for that objective. The second thing to do is to make sure that you are essentially measuring that outcome, which is an integrated outcome. And the third piece is which is of course a cherry on the cake, is to have great creatives in the mix. And creators are an easy way to get that creative right, which can be relevant for that locality, that location, right, getting the right language in place. So it's fascinating. So I love this case study of people in Ulhasnagar, for example, using Sindhi creatives and creators to drive traffic into stores. It's fascinating how small businesses are using this. And the other reality is that actually larger businesses can learn so much from these small businesses.
Yes.
Because for that small business, it's a question of survival. And they would max out an opportunity in terms of just what Meta has to offer in terms of better conversions. And these 2-3 things are the ones that we believe will lead to better quality conversions and better business. Like we were saying earlier, getting your click to brick right is an easy thing to do as long as you set up that as objective in Ads Manager.
Gaurav, Omni is very fast evolving, and we have seen so much happen at Meta in the just 12 months. Now, if I ask you the difficult question, that if you see 6 to 12 months into the future, what do you think are the 1 or 2 key trends which can evolve in the Omni ecosystem?
If we see future living with us every single day nowadays, it's moving so fast. My favorite example is Tanish with click to WhatsApp. For example, we have seen 13x increase in ROAS at a store level when we use click to WhatsApp. And that allows you to do multiple things. For example, it can allow you to store locate the nearest store, a big online to offline use case. The other piece is to pass on coupons, which can be essentially, encashed inside the store, which is a really, really powerful way to make sure you're giving that coupon to the right consumer, who's essentially letting you gain share or get greater value sales. Yes. And multiple such use cases. In my view, a case like this is just a starting point of what a marketer's imagination can be, to use click to brick as a concept to convert consumers from online to offline and vice versa. and it just needs imagination to get unlocked. But I believe that clicks to WhatsApp and business messaging, these two will be great opportunities for anybody who's looking at website and in-store conversions together as a structural solve.
So clicks to bricks coupled with clicks to WhatsApp, definitely a trend to watch out for.
Absolutely.
So not only did we speak about integrated ROS, we are saying that Meta now can actually optimize for your web and online ROS. I think it's a good learning for me as well, Gaurav. One of the things when I interact with many of the brands, they tell me, look, Omni needs to get a lot of things right? And many of the brands which are starting their Omni journey, they may not have the right capability in house, either of a tech or of creative or of, let's say, setting the campaigns right. What would be your one or two pieces of advice for a retail brand today, which is just thinking about starting their first set of Omni pilots? How can they go about it?
I love to frame this a very simple way. What if I tell you that your revenue would go up by 2x if you just do very simple three things? You don't need to boil the ocean. Number one piece is to first have the mindset that you want a integrated outcome, which is both online and in-store, right? So that's web and in-store is what you're trying to optimize for. The second thing that you need to do is to make a very simple exercise of getting your conversions API, offline conversions API integrated, which sells the signal back through CRM to Meta systems to let you know that, okay, this particular consumer converted to this. Third piece is set up very simple measurements, which could be either geo-lift studies, which look at stores where you are going to do this experiment and where you're not, and what's your uplift. So you know how much of a uplift on returns are you getting, so you can manage your investments accordingly, is the third piece. So it doesn't take a lot of heft to carry this through. And the other one, final one, which is actually the most important one, is to use the ads manager itself to do this optimization, which is not very difficult to do.
Gaurav, many times when I interact with brand owners, they tell me that, look, we want to try Omni, but we don't have the capabilities in-house to get Omni right. And I know you spoke about offline conversion API, you spoke about Omni campaigns to be set up, you spoke about getting your creative right. I feel for a brand owner who is just piloting something, this looks like too much of an ask for them. What do you think can brand owners do when they are sort of getting their Omni strategy up and running for the first time?
That's a very important question. People have understood why is it important. They've also understood, what needs to get done. The difficulty is how to, and that's where agencies can be such powerful partners. So AdYogi is a classic example out of 100 odd agencies that we manage. What we see invariably is that the agencies are essentially brand advisors for a marketer. The earlier question you asked me, what's changing in marketing? Why is this becoming important? The big change that we find in marketing fraternity is that great marketers are excellent integrators. So their ability to integrate stuff and integrate different disciplines to get better brand outcomes is tremendously different from any time in the past. Because there's so many things that are coming along from a technology point of view, from a consumer point of view, from a media point of view, that you can't possibly master them all. So you need to really depend on people and partners who can help you drive that journey much faster. So AdYogi, for example, would be a classic partner for somebody to come along and be an advisor on how can they get and integrate this journey fully without getting the hassles of getting it wrong and getting it by trial and error. Because the partner that you bring on has got experience across multiple brands of having executed this at scale, what you get as outcomes is something that's been battle-hardened, that's been understood fully, that allows you to get outcomes from day one. And that, for me, is the biggest single advice. Get hold of a partner out of the agency. A new business can go and see which are the agencies that they can work with who are essentially certified to really deliver this for that brand really well. And AdYogi is one such agency.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. So we spoke about integrated ROS, then we said integrated optimization of web and app and Omni, and then we spoke about integrated agency like AdYogi. Thank you so much.
Just one more thing to add, an integrated thinking marketing manager on the other end who's thinking of integrating all these inputs together with the help of an agency that is certified to do this well.
So don't forget the ads manager. I think that's the big takeaway. This has been a very, very exciting discussion, Gaurav. I would rather summarize this saying that number one, we learned about clicks to bricks today. Number two, I will say that Omni is not a solo sport. Omni is actually a team sport. For an Omni success to happen, you need to be a team sport. You need to get your team right. And that's exactly what Gaurav Jeet Singh today actually told us about. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for being present here. This sort of brings me to the end of this podcast. Be on the lookout for the next set of sessions. We have leaders from some of the top e-commerce and retail brands coming with us. They will talk about how they implemented the strategy we learned today to get their Omni right. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more.